This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
You see her text asking him.
Okay, good. So come, let's get started. And Parsha Naso on page 748 in our stone Chumash. Parsha Naso, I mentioned on Shabbat, is the longest Parsha in the entire Torah. We spoke on Shabbos how last week we did Bamidbar, which was all about being counted. And going into Matan Torah, we have to recognize that Moshe says that each and every one of us counts. And it doesn't matter, each of us with our background, with our ability, each and every one of us can and does make a difference in this world. And we need to make sure that we are stepping up. And the parsha that follows right afterwards is Parsha Naso, which is the longest parsha in the Torah, 100, Aaron, 176 psukim. And that is to let us know that once we've had Matan Torah, now we need to roll up our sleeves and do some of the heavy lifting. And I pointed out that there are the longest tractate of Talmud that we have is Baba Batra with 176 dapim, pages. And the longest Tehillim that we have is Kuf Yutet 119 with 176 psukim. So what's with 176? Why is that this magical number that our longest Parsha, our longest Tehillim, our longest Gemara, they're all 176? What is this 176? So I put the question out there to the congregation, said, someone come back with me with a good answer. But as I was saying it, I thought of a possible answer. Not to preclude anyone else's answers, but I thought of a possible answer. Why is chapter 119 in Tehillim? Why is it 176 psukim? It goes through the entire alphabet 8 times. It has 8 psukim that begin with Aleph, and then 8 psukim beginning with Bet, 8 psukim beginning with Gimel, and Dalet, and so on. 22 letters of the Aleph Bet, 8 each. 8 times 22 equals 176. And I said maybe that is the key to the power of 176, and while we find that also by the Gemara and also by this week's Parsha Naso. The Gemara says that we're supposed to say Ashrei. We say Ashrei 3 times a day, and a person says Ashrei 3 times a day, he or she will merit the world to come. Okay, that sounds like a pretty easy ticket, right? We can do that, right? So what is the power of Ashrei? So the Gemara says, well, if it speaks about Hashem supporting the world, Poteach et yadecha umaspia lochocha ratzon, Hashem, you open up your hands and you satiate the entire world. So we have that whole Kili Olam Chasto chapter of, thank you, Esther, which has 26 times talking about Hashem's chesed to the world. If it's that it's Aleph Bet, we have Kuf Yutet, which goes through the Aleph Bet 8 times. So the Gemara says, well, it's both. What does that mean? What is the power of the Aleph Bet, beginning to end, and also the fact that he speaks about God sustaining? So it's the idea, I think the Maharsha there explains, it's the idea, Aleph to Taf means, the Aleph Bet means it's all encompassing, right? I think it's right. You have to go from A to Z, right? From Aleph to Taf, right? Meaning it has to be all encompassing. The fact that it's Aleph to Taf, it's all encompassing, and that is the Torah was constructed using those 22 letters. So if we go from Aleph to Bet, we are encompassing the idea of the totality of the Torah, but it's not just this Torah up there in the world, but it's down here in the world. Hashem is involved in everything that goes on. Hashem supports us. So we have the Ruchani, the spiritual, and we have the Gashmi, we have the physical. That's what Ashrei combines. So I was thinking about the 176. Maybe the idea is as follows. 176 is all based on that parak in Tehillim, meaning we have the Aleph Bet, 22 letters, and we have 8 times for each. What does 8 signify? What does 8 represent?
Abnormal. 7 days is creation.
Good. Abnormal. Good. Super. Kathy, what were you saying?
I was saying completion, but
Okay, but this is going beyond, almost like the supernatural, going beyond the regular confines. We have 7 days of the week, and then we have the 8th, right? Shmini Atzer. We go up and beyond, right? The Brit Milah, the circumcision, is done on the 8th day. Why? Because that's going beyond the physical of who we are, and that's entering up into the realm of the supernatural.
They believe that the 8 symbol is Ein Sof, is eternal, because you can keep doing it forever. Like
the way 8 looks.
The way 8 looks.
Interesting. So that wouldn't necessarily be a Jewish concept, because we don't have a number 8 in Judaism. In other words, the way that we're drawing, right? As Leah said, Hindu says 8 is eternity, because you could just keep going around and around and around. But we don't have the number 8 in Judaism, meaning the way to write those numbers, we have a chet to represent 8, right? So the way, right? So we would have a samach maybe, which would be, right? Or a mem sofit, right? But the concept is a true concept. Right? Not about the formation of the number 8, but 8 represents this going beyond the physical, this eternity, this miraculous, this supernatural. So maybe the reason why we have everything being the longest, being 176, perhaps is the idea that we can take the totality of the Torah, and then that allows us to go up and beyond, right? To find kocho, to find abilities that we didn't know that we have, and we can then take that even more. Okay, but why is Naso so long? Why is it such a long parsha? So actually, if you go to the end of the parsha, go to page 764. Sorry, 766. The very top there, Pasuk Yud. Vayakrivu Perek Zayin Pasuk Yud. Vayakrivu Nisiyim 8 Chanukat HaMizbeach B'yom Himashach Oto. The leaders of each tribe brought forward offerings for the dedication of the altar on the day that it was anointed. And they brought their offering before the altar. The Nesiim were the leaders of the tribes. If you remember back in Parsha Teruma, and then again in Vayakel, when all the collections were being made for the Mishkan, so it says there, right? Remember, we had a strange order. We had gold, silver, working our way down in value, and then suddenly we had these precious gems listed as the very last. We had these precious gems listed as the very, very last thing in the order. So we went down, we're going down in value, and then suddenly we list the most valuable thing at the bottom of the list. Why is that? So we explained based on, I think the Orach Chaim over there says that was brought by the Nisi'im, the leaders. And they said to Moshe, listen, do all your collection, and whatever you need at the end, we'll take care of, which showed a lack of eagerness on their part. Therefore, even though they brought these gems, they weren't eager to bring it, they weren't happy to bring it, and therefore they weren't eager enough to be part of it, meaning had everything been brought, they would have been shut out. Therefore, they were put at the bottom of the list. Now they are recognizing that mistake that they made, right? Remember, we said a beautiful thing there. Later on, when we're discussing that, we say the Nisi'im without a Yud, right? They lost the Yud from their name because of this lack of energy that they had. And I forget who said this, but Nisi'im without the Yud, Nisi'im means that they are doing the carrying, right? Nisa'im, without the Yud, Nisi'im, you read it, Nisa'im. They are being carried, meaning they didn't realize that we are the ones who are being carried. We don't do the carrying. Hashem is the one who is carrying us. With all that we might be doing, we are not carrying, we are being carried. So over here, how are you? Good to see you. We're on page 766. So over here, they wanted to remedy that. So now with the consecration, they wanted to bring this gift. And each of the 12 Nesiim came with their gift. Let's see what the gift was. Let's go to the first day, Pasuk Yud Bet, Pasuk 12. Vayhi, and it was Hamakriv, the one who brought B'yom Rishon Karbano, Nachshon ben Aminadav, Lamata Yehuda. It was Nachshon, the son of Aminadav of Mata Yehuda. What was his gift? We'll go to the English, go faster. His offering was one silver bowl. Its weight 130 shekels. One silver basin, 70 shekels. Both of them filled with fine flour, mixed with oil for a meal offering. One gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense. One young bull, one ram, one sheep in its first year for an olah, elevation offering. One he-goat for a sin offering. And for a piece of shlamim, 2 cattle, 5 ram, 5 he-goats, 5 sheep in the first year. This is the offering of Nachshon, son of Aminadav. That's his offering. Now, very strange. On the second day, Netanel, son of Tzuar, offered, leader of Issachar. He brought his offering. One silver bowl, its weight 130 shekel. One silver basin, 70 shekel. Both of them filled with fine flour. One gold ladle, 10 shekel. Incense. One young bull, ram, sheep, first year, elevation. He-goat, sin offering. Peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 ram, 5 he-goats, 5 sheep in the first year. Offering Netanel, son of Tzuar. Turn the page. On the third day, identical. On the fourth day, identical. On the fifth day, identical. On the sixth day, turn the page. On the seventh day, on the eighth day, on the ninth day, on the 10th day, turn the page. On the 11th day, on the 12th day. So we have over here 72 psukim. 6 times 12. Identical psukim. Now, we have a poor sofer writing all this by hand, right? What might we have proposed to make things a little bit easier? After you wrote Yehuda on first day, what should you say? Yeah. And the leader of tribe number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all brought the same thing. Or say, all the Nesiim. I could take these, right? So the first 6 psukim we need, fair enough. We're down to 66. I could have one pasuk instead of 66 psukim. But kol hanesiim heviu oto ha-mincha. V'chein heviu kol hanesiim. V'chein heviu kol hanesiim. I could take 66 psukim and biblically break it down to 4 words. Now, there's my son's bar mitzvah parsha. One of my son's bar mitzvah parsha. So it made it a little bit easier. He got a little intimidated. Wow, 176 psukim. No, once you learn 6, you've got 72 under your belt. Okay, But I would have liked easy to just have those 6 and plus 1. V'chein heviu kol hanisiim. Right? Why does it go through each and every one of them over here? And there are many, many different approaches. But the approach that speaks, and I'd like to hear some other thoughts also that any of you might have, but the approach that speaks to me is that very often I think we feel, all right, everyone's doing it, so I also do it. What difference does it make? Everyone's coming to shul, everyone's coming to class, so one more person, right? Do I make a difference? Do I really make a difference, or am I just a face in the crowd? Do I really make a difference by what I do? Right? Everyone's doing the same thing, and by spelling it out painstakingly, right? The Hashem is letting us know this is how I view it. This is how I view it. Right? Our study. I just read this morning a very nice essay from the chief rabbi of South Africa. Right? And he said, tonight we have the Tikkun Leil Shavuot. We have the custom to stay up the entire night studying Torah. We'll have different presentations going through the whole night over here, davening at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, starting about 10:15, going till 5 a.m. Right? So why is this idea of staying up the whole night of Shavuot? Why is that so? Why is that this Jewish Torah concept? So he writes, you might think it's because we put so much emphasis on study, on education, on knowledge. But he said, no, it's not. The focus is not knowledge. The focus is that we look at Torah as God sharing with us his view of the world, his view of us, his view of the role that we as individuals and we as a nation are supposed to play. So therefore this is the key to how we are meant to view this world, how we are meant to view ourselves and the role that we play. So that's why we have this thirst for Torah. These are the most important questions that anyone could ever ask in life. Why am I here? If I'm believing in a God, what does he want of me? What am I supposed to be doing? Where do I go afterwards? What is this all about? Right? That's what Torah is meant to impart to us. And that's why we are so fixated on it. And over here, I might look at, just all right, same thing, right? Ditto, right? We have those two lines, ditto, same exact thing. That's how we might look at it. Another person doing this, Hashem looks at each person as an olam bifnei atzmo. Each person is their own world, their own universe. And even if 11 people have all brought the same thing, the 12th person is now bringing it, Hashem views that as, wow, look what this person is doing. It's not same old, but each one of us going forward. I saw Nally share with me a beautiful thing from I'll share it with you guys with what's going on in the world today. From Sivan Rachav Meir, right? You know who she is.
Yeah.
Tell us about her a little bit. So
I don't know. I just know that she's a woman, religious woman that brings her ideas based on the Torah. So she's talking many times about the Parsha, but she really connects it to reality.
And I think her background, she started off completely secular as a newscaster in Israel. And then she went on her own journey. And that's why so many people knew of her, right? So she wrote a beautiful thing here. I'll share this. As we approach the holiday of Shavuot, here is a powerful idea that is more consequential than any political debate. A Jewish student from MIT visiting Israel told me, after describing the hypocritical protests on behalf of Hamas that took place on her campus, what our world needs the most now is faith, vision, and a clear moral compass. This student is absolutely correct, and that is precisely the message of Shavuot. In the shameful and unforgettable hearing in front of the American Congress 7 months ago, 3 college presidents cannot bring themselves to assert that the call for genocide of the Jewish people was against the moral code of their respective institutions. See, here is the definitive moral code, as communicated by God in the 10 Commandments that we read on Shavuot. You shall not murder. This year, this command echoes louder than ever. Do not murder. Also, do not support a culture defined by murder and death. Do not give these people international support and honor, and do not try to appease them. Members of the UN who stood for a moment of silence in memory of the Iranian president and master terrorist Raisi, and ambassadors from Western countries who stood in tribute when the Iranian flag was lowered to half-mast, have clearly not internalized the meaning of these words. Our world is confused. It has difficulty distinguishing between good and evil. And to counter this moral confusion, we must stand up and reaffirm the moral foundation of the word. There is truth and there are lies. I am the Lord your God who has taken you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of slavery. There is a God and he plays an active role in history, ensuring that ultimately everything will be resolved for the good. Do not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. How horrifying that our enemies cry out, Allah Akbar, God is great, when committing the most heinous crimes against humanity, slaughtering babies, elderly, men, women, in the name of God. The 10 Commandments also establish the principles of a moral society in which there are clear limits, and each person is recognized as being created in the image of God. Remember the Sabbath, keep it holy. Honor your father and mother. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. You shall not covet. There's even a command addressing our system of justice. You shall not bear false witness against your fellow. Even more so today, in a time of moral relativity, when every belief is open to subjective interpretation, it is critical to uphold justice. Sadly, we know this has not been happening at the ICC, International Criminal Court in The Hague. Shavuot falls out on Tuesday night and Wednesday in Israel, another additional day in the diaspora. The 10 Commandments will be read aloud in synagogues around the world. It is customary to bring children of all ages to the synagogue to listen, for they will be responsible for carrying its message to the next generation. Throughout our history, while living under the tyrannical Roman Empire, the murderous Crusaders, and even under the vicious communist and Nazi regimes, we have always read the 10 Commandments on Shavuot. And today, surrounded by fanatical Islam on the one side and a morally confused West on the other, we must continue to remind the world of these eternal truths. Shavuot calls on us not to accept the world the way it is, but to strive to make it better and to transform ourselves in the process. Chag Sameach. Wow. Very, very powerful.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her ability to look at the world in like very sharp view and being able to analyze.
Yes, she has a very, very sharp eye, sharp view. Yeah. Yeah. So to see it through God's eyes, and that's why it was worth, right? We have mountains of halachot that are derived from this hint or that hint in the Torah. And then we have 72 psukim spelling out the same identical gift that everyone brought, right? Letting us see the importance of each person. No one becomes minimized because someone else already did it or someone else is doing it. There's another idea here that the hero was verse number 18. On the second day, Netanel, the son of Tzuar, offered, the leader of Yisachar, he brought his offering. Why is he, the person who brought on the second day, why is he the hero? What would you say, my friends? What makes him the hero of this story? Hello, Janet. What would make number 2 the hero of the story?
He wasn't afraid to be the same, so to speak. And he
Okay,
saw the
good.
uniqueness of doing the same.
Good. So Leah said he wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid to be the same. Okay? Right? And that is so powerful, not just for himself, but for all that followed. Right? Imagine, yes. Right.
Maybe he was afraid not to be the same, less than.
Okay. Okay. So, right, Mary's saying maybe he was afraid. He didn't want. Just put it on my desk. Okay. Right. He did. He was afraid of being less than. Okay. But typically, right, our human nature often is, what do we want?
Distinguish ourselves.
We want to distinguish ourselves. Right. We're on 766. Right. So we want to do just a little bit more, for their son's bar mitzvah, they did this. For my son's bar mitzvah, I don't know if I could do exactly this. Let me just add just a little bit more, a little bit different, just a little bit extra, just to make it special, just to make it special.
One that reads it could, like initially, I thought maybe that's what it's supposed to be, and that's why they all did the same. So
But it
just
wasn't.
the first guy decided what it brings, and everybody
Correct.
followed suit.
Correct. Right? But our hero over here, and it was very interesting. There was a takana, I think in Baltimore there still is, maybe in Lakewood also. There was a takana established by the rabbis there, that when it comes to weddings, right, this is how it should be done, right? To avoid this one-upmanship, and tragically, people feeling pressure to keep up and or to do more when they're not able to, and putting themselves and their family or the community, right, into a state of hardship because they felt they had to, keep up with the Schwartzes, right, instead of the Joneses, right?
When you give this example, then he would have been the hero if he had done less, according to what you're saying now.
Okay. Let's think about that. So the idea here, I don't know if I have to do less. Well, the point was, if he would have done a little bit more, then what does number 3 have to do? And then 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, right? So therefore, that would have shot it beyond, into the stratosphere, beyond what people would be able to do, right? So therefore he did exactly the same, and that he wasn't afraid to do the same, and that was what propelled everyone forward and doing the same. So Judy's asking a good question. So should he have done less? Would it have been better had he done less?
Well, it might be that then others in his tribe, not understanding that, might have thought that this would have showed less respect to Hashem. So to be just equal might
Okay.
show. I mean, it might be misinterpreted by those who are not as having
Okay.
as much of a.
Okay, that's interesting. Janet's saying by doing less, it'll be interpreted as how much can I get away with, right? How little can I do and it will still be okay.
Or by oneself, they would think I'm doing less than the next guy, so that doesn't look very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although Judy's logic is absolutely
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah.
It takes the real bravery to do less than
Yeah. Yeah. But if I can do as much, so then I shouldn't do less. If I can do more, perhaps I shouldn't do more, because that's going to put pressure on others. Meaning, if I can do as much and I do less, then I am to a certain degree shirking my responsibilities, right? Right. But if I can do more, but I don't do more, or at least I don't do more in a public fashion, so then I'm not putting pressure onto others. Yes, Esther.
So in the commentary on page 767, it says, although the 12 leaders brought identical offerings, they arrived at the formulations independently and intended different symbolism in their choice of components.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting, because if you think about, like, when we daven and we do the Amida, everybody's praying the same thing, but we all have a different perspective. It's everybody's offering the very same thing. Maybe some.
And why would they come up? I mean, it's easy to read it and just say, oh, they all independently came up. That's a lot of things for
a lot of details.
Everybody independently to exactly.
I think is that the Ramban he's quoting over there?
I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think I saw it goes through how this gift represented different things to each of them.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind
right?
of like when we're
It's exactly
prayers, it's like,
right.
Well, yeah, you do matter, because even though you're praying the exact same thing as everybody else from the sitter, you have your own perspective and your own path in life that it pertains to.
Yeah, and it takes on your own personal meaning, right, with things that you're going through, right? The Amidah that we have that is very structured, right? So that was written by the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah. Amongst them were Nevi'im. Amongst them was Mordechai of Purim fame. It was heavyweights, and they composed that at the time when Nevuah, prophecy, was coming to an end. Because until then, if we have prophecy, then everyone else is over here. Here's prophecy, everyone else over here. If there's no prophecy, then everyone is coming down. And we're reaching a point of an inability to compose these truly meaningful tefillot. And therefore, they, with their prophecy, compose these with everything in mind until Mashiach comes, all with the prophetic vision, all that we would need. I mentioned before, for myself personally, during this year, so many different lines in Shemona Esrei have become activated, have come to life in a way that I've been saying them for decades. But one thing that really hits me, and sometimes it takes me a long time to say this one verse. At the very end of the Amidah, which is actually Elokai Nitzur, we say, Aseh Laman Shemecha, do it for the sake of your name, Hashem. Meaning that what's going on in the world today is creating a desecration of God's name. Do it for the sake of your name. Aseh Laman Shemecha, Aseh Laman Yeminecha. Do it for the sake of your yamin, your right arm, meaning show your strength. Aseh leman kedushatecha. Do it for the sake of your holiness. Aseh leman toratecha. Do it for the sake of your Torah. Lema'an yechaltzun yedidecha. In order that, leman yedidecha, your dear ones. So the art scroll, yechaltzun, has many meanings. Right? The art scroll has the meaning there, it should be at rest or at peace. Like Ritzei v'achlitzeno, Hashem Elokeinu, we say on Shabbat. But chalitza, hachlitzenu, also means to rescue us. Laman yechaltzun yedidecha, in order that your dear ones should be rescued. One of the most frustrating things was on the coming after the amazing rescue of those four hostages released. Released? Released? Rescued. Right? Released?
Who journalistically reported that poorly? Hamas did not release those hostages.
Exactly my point. But the headlines read,
Even
four
CNN and
hostages
the BBC,
released.
major outlets.
Laman yechaltzun yedidecha, in order that the dear one should be rescued. Hoshia yamincha. Hashem Hoshia, let your right arm save us. Right? Give us the ability. Help us. Hoshia yamincha va'aneni. And answer us. There have been so many tefillot this year, so many tefillot for thousands of years. Let all those tefillot come together, va'aneni, and answer us. That I've been saying that ever since I started davening as a young boy, but it never meant what it means to me it never meant what it means to me today. So the davening has so much come alive with all of these, and it's sort of like, this generation. So it was written back then. This generation now, all of a sudden, this is like pulsating, and these words are lit up and pulsating. Another generation, these words are pulsating, and this is what was planted in there for each generation as we're going through. But besides, on the national level, what you're saying, Esther, is very true. On our personal level, right? We are meant to personalize it. Yeah. So each one came up with the same, and like Aaron pointed out, it really is pretty amazing because it was quite specific over here. Each one came up with the same idea. So get back to Judy's question. So why didn't they do less? Right? So far we have maybe because then people would think, as Janice said, that they're coming, that he's trying to see what he could get away with, sort of like the Cain Hevel idea. How little can Cain bring, right? And that was a problem there. Or I'm saying that if we can do more, then we should not do less. We don't want to set an example of doing less if we can do the same. And if we can do even more, so then sometimes maybe we should do the same and do more in a private manner that's not going to put pressure on other people to do more than they can do.
But it's also a philosophical question. We look at this and say, okay, they're all the same, but how do we know some tribes were not able to do it, but they pushed themselves just not to be less because of embarrassment? Not all tribes are the same. Some are richer,
Yes.
some are poorer.
Yes.
And some probably were not able to bring as much, but they still did just to.
So it seems,
So
yes,
not,
right. So Leah's asking, well, maybe Yehuda, the first one, put undue pressure on on everyone else, and Yisachar and Netanel ben Suar of Yisachar, right, but maybe he should have done less, and that way it would have allowed those who were unable to also do less. That's interesting. Unless we'll say that these Nisim were well to do, and it was known that this was what they could do. That's what it would seem, right? It was known that this is what they were able to do. Yeah, interesting. Yes,
Just
Judy.
and a slight change of subject, and we're done with this one. I was just wondering if there was some significance to putting for the first two, the name is put first and then the name of the tribe, and then after that it's reversed.
Yeah, so
So
yeah.
if there's a certain
Yes.
symmetry to all of these, this
Yes,
why
yes. And
that's
Judy had
changed.
a very good eye. Look carefully at verse number 12, right? Vayhi hamakriv b'yom rishon et karbano. The one who brought the carbon the first day was Nachshon ben Aminadav l'matei Yehuda. Nachshon, the son of Aminadav, from Matei Yehuda. Does not mention Nasi, that he was the tribal leader, right? And it mentions Vayhi hamakriv harishon et karbano. Nachshon, right? It mentions carbon twice in that pasuk. Next pasuk, the karbano, and his sacrifice was. Okay, let's contrast that to number 8, verse 18. B'yom hasheni, on the second day, hikriv, that's one hikriv brought. Netanel ben Suar, Nasi Yisachar. Now we start to mention the Nasi. Hikriv et karbano, right? Again, 3 hikrivs at karbano, right? 3 hikrivs, drawing close. Now let's go to 768. The Yom Shlishi, Nasi Livnei Zvulun, Eliad ben Chalon, Karbano. His offering was, right? So there are numerous differentiations over here. So the Or HaChaim explains that by the first one, by Nachshon, it doesn't mention the Nasi, to let us know that he, besides being the Nasi, just he himself was worthy of bringing this. He didn't need that position of being the Nasi, right? He himself was able to bring it. B'yom hasheni hikriv Netanel ben Suar Nasi Yisachar, right? Now, over here, we start to mention the Nasi, but his name is mentioned before Nasi Yisachar, by verse 18, right? After that, we have, for all the others, we have Nasi mentioned before their name. We see that, right? So he explains that Netanel ben Suar of Yisachar was the tribe of the Torah scholarship. And therefore he too had this standing besides being the Nasi, not like Yehuda, not like the first one, but he had his own personal standing along with being Nasi. After that, what's their claim to fame? Biyom HaRevi'i, Biyom HaShlishi, Nasi. Who was the Nasi? This person. Who was the Nasi? That person. So that's one thing that Or HaChaim points out, as Judy noted. So by Yehuda, without being a Nasi, he was eligible, worthy. By Yisachar, him along with being a Nasi. He had his own credentials and being a Nasi. All the others, it was only by virtue of their being the Nasi, that's how they were able to bring. Also, we pointed out, we have Hamakriv, Karbano, 3 Makrivim. So he explains that the level of a carbon, there's the actual physical carbon that I'm bringing, and then there are all of the spiritual components of it also, right? That manifest themselves in the physical carbon. So where are my thoughts? Where am I at? Right? Am I bringing a carbon? Or in addition to bringing the physical carbon, am I up in the stratosphere with all of these carbano? There's the carbano and there is the carbano. There are all these different levels. So the first two were able to, I forget why there's 3, but they're able to transcend just the physical carbon, and that's why he says carbano numerous times. There's the physical carbon, there's the higher spiritual aspect they also were fully tuned into. That's the first two. By the others, carbano. It was just their carbon, right? They were not on the level to ascend so high. Yes, Janet.
If it's by virtue of Torah study for Issachar, then it seems like the entire tribe should have had some, maybe like there should have been a fourth carbonate to represent the entire tribe as Torah studiers.
I'm not sure.
In other words, you said, Or Chaim said he was distinguished in his own right besides being Nasi because of the Torah study.
Because
That was the entire tribe.
that tribe was distinguished.
Right. So not just.
And he as the representative of that tribe, right?
So that seems like there should be some shout out to the entire tribe.
There is through their Nasi,
Okay.
because he is the representative of that tribe. Okay, so Judy, that was a very good eye. The Or HaChaim, right, is one of the commentators who always zeroes in on all of these slight nuances in the different texts and unfolds tremendous teachings that we have in all of these nuances.
Also, could it be that the Issachar, the Nathaniel, was distinguished because he was this little heroic or sagacious thing of doing the same.
Perhaps.
Maybe that's also why there was some distinction in his
Perhaps. Yeah.
So,
Yes, Aaron?
Why the three different levels of knowledge? One is just le'olah, then one for chatat, and then shelamim. Three different kinds of offerings, right? Zevach shelamim, echad lechatat, echad just for le'olah.
What are these different types?
Right. What's the purpose of having?
So an olah is a full gift. It completely is an ascent. Olah, b'shleimuto, right? It all gets burnt on the altar. The chatat is to atone for sins, right? And a shlamim is considered to be a peace offering, right? In that it brings shalom to the world. Some of it goes on the mizbeach, on the altar. Some of it goes to the kohanim, and some of it goes to the common folk to be eaten. Right? These are our three general types of sacrifices. Actually, we once went through. I don't have it on the tip of my tongue, but
so the shelamim, everybody partakes in it.
Yeah. Yes, Judy.
So I didn't know if we would have time to talk about something more from the middle of the Parsha about the Nazarite and the adultery, the woman with the adultery and stuff, because it seemed like it was kind of a big part of the Parsha, but if you did that in past years and you don't like to repeat it every year.
Yeah. We've done it in the past. Just very briefly, when we read about the Soteh, the adulteress wife, right, it sounds like a late night horror movie, right? And she has to drink this potion, which is water from the kior with some earth mixed in, and it has, and we took a Torah, a writing of the Parsha. So the Soteh is a man told his wife, right, and then she drinks that, and if she committed adultery, then she explodes over there, and the guy, whoever had relations with her, wherever he is, he's having his bagels, cream cheese, and lox Sunday morning, and says, honey, what's in the coffee? Next thing you know, he's exploding because he also committed adultery over there. I mean, what is going on over here? Like I said, it sounds like this late night horror movie. But actually, when we learn through those psukim, maybe next year we'll do it in depth again, and the Torah Shabbal Peh on it, it becomes a very, very different situation. Imagine just how dire and desperate a relationship is if a husband tells his wife in front of witnesses don't you be alone with Bob. Right? It's not like, a jealous husband. I don't want you to be alone with anybody. No, 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 no. In front of witnesses, he tells his wife, don't be alone with Bob. Now, that is a relationship that is clearly on the rocks. Okay? If a husband has to tell his wife, don't be alone with anybody, but do it in front of witnesses? I mean, how degrading, how humiliating is that? This is a relationship that is on the rocks. And then she goes and is alone with that guy. Then she checks into a motel. Witnesses see them check into a hotel room together. Right? Is there any hope whatsoever for this relationship to be restored? She swears nothing happened. Nothing happened. We just talked in there. We watched Seinfeld. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Right? Is there any way to restore confidence and faith and respect in this relationship? The only way to restore faith in this relationship is if God himself will come and testify, nothing happened. How does God himself come and testify nothing happened? She drinks the water and nothing happens. That is God's testimony. Now, if she actually had relations with this guy when she was alone, she won't drink the water. What will she say if she would come to me and say, Rabbi Ciner, I don't know what to do. Right? There was something happened in that hotel room. Right? I can't. What should I do? I would say to her, don't drink the water. And she'd say, what? And I have to let everyone know that that I slept with this other guy, that I related with this other guy. I'd say, look, the two of you have been struggling for so long. The two of you have been struggling for so long. It's not going. It's not working. Right? And there's no way the two of you can be together again, because the only way you can be together again is if you drink the water, and it's not a good idea for you to drink the water. So, you know what? Tell the Beit Din. If there's no trust in this relationship, I'm out. And they won't force you to drink it. So what we have over here, but if she decides, I'm going to go through this whole process, I'm going to drink the water, what does that mean? She didn't do it, and she wants to make this work. And she realizes we have hit rock bottom.
No.
And now let's try to rebuild. Otherwise, she'll say, you know what? I'm out. This is not working. This is crazy. He doesn't trust me. He told me that. I'm out. Yes, John.
Not necessarily that she wants to make it work, but she wants to mitigate the public defamation or desecration of her reputation.
So what's she want to do? She's going to drink and explode?
No, I meant if she hasn't done it. So she doesn't really want to make it work because, like you say, all the trust is gone, but she doesn't want others to think, oh.
Fair enough. So in that case, she'll drink, she'll clear her name.
Right.
And if she doesn't want to go forward, then we'll get a divorce.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, here's a relationship. Right? I mean, I can't even imagine having to tell my wife, don't be alone with so-and-so. And having to tell her that in front of witnesses? I mean, that is just, right? So this is what will give a couple that is clearly beyond struggling. Right? They are on life support in terms of their relationship, this is a way that we can resuscitate. Anything short of that, anything short of God himself testifying, everything was good. Nothing happened over there. Okay, we could start to rebuild. But again, if she was actually acting with infidelity, then don't drink. Don't drink. And you don't have to say, I committed adultery. You can say, I don't want to go forward with this relationship. There's no point in my drinking. My drinking is going to allow me to be together with him again. I'm out. Thanks, but no thanks. I've had enough.
Is there significance to this being in this Parsha, like where it is?
So, yeah, the sages speak about why it's coming right. Yes, there are a couple of things that lead up to it, right? If you want to take a quick look, right, we're talking about the different gifts that are given to the Kohanim on page 752, right? So there we speak about different things that are given to the Kohanim. Verse 9, the Chol Truma, and every portion, the Chol Kadshe B'nei Yisroel, Asher Krivu LaKohen Lo Yiyeh. That's given, right? It becomes in English, every portion of the holy the children of Israel bring to the Kohen shall be his. The Ish is Kadashav Lo Yiyeh, Isha Yitain LaKohen Lo Yiyeh. A man's holy shall be his. What a man gives to the Kohen shall be his. So it's telling us that we're supposed to present, that we're supposed to maintain, support the Kohanim. So the Rashi brings over here that if a person holds back that which is supposed to be given to the Kohen, so then he'll end up needing the Kohen for different, not such pleasant things. Right? That's the connection that Rashi brings, the sages bring. Yes, Leah.
Going back to the previous subject for a moment. Like you said, it sounds like a horror movie, right? So I'm thinking maybe it's all this just psychological warfare. Maybe if these women drank the water, nothing would have happened to them, even if they slept with someone, but the woman goes through such a process of thinking like, is it worth it for me? Is it not worth it for me?
So that will help her turn around.
So that will help her turn around.
I hear that psychologically from a halachic point of view. If she willingly committed adultery with someone else, then she really can't be with her husband anymore. Or at least if there are witnesses to it. I shouldn't say. If there are witnesses to it, then she can't be with her husband anymore. Yeah. Okay, my friends, we will call it over here. A little taste of stuff. Wishing everybody a Chag Sameach. All those who've been joining us tonight, about 10:15, going straight through the night, right? With a lot of cheesecake.
Are there still those 4 slots left?
3 slots available. Grab 1 or 2 of them. Come, Janet. No pressure, but pressure.
Come on, Janet. Take it for the team. I'm doing 3.
Mm-hmm.
You are. I'm doing Naso with Jenny's tonight. So,
The easy ones.
are there any good references in the library about Naso?
Well, Naso is taken.
No, I know, but I'm doing it at Jenny's.
No,
Remember I told you
Oh. I'm not sure. Look around. Okay. Rose, good seeing you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Okay. Be well.